All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining me for my last regularly scheduled District 10 office hours. It's been a pleasure hosting office hours and, usually live, but over this last year, we've been doing them virtually twice a month. And as usual, my staff is standing by for your questions. So please put them in the comments section in Facebook, and if you're on Zoom, enter them in the Q&A. And today we're joined here by Mayor Sam Liccardo, and we usually begin by me doing updates, but we're going to put those till the end because we're trying to respect his time. I think he's only going to be here till 10:30, so stick around if you want to hear the updates of what's happening in our district. I've actually had the honor of working with Mayor Sam Liccardo for 8 years, 2 years while he was a council member, and the rest as the mayor of San Jose, the 10th largest city in the United States. And so please join us for a conversation with our mayor, Sam Liccardo. And Mayor, just go right ahead.
Hey, thank you so much, Councilmember Khamis, and welcome everyone. And thanks for allowing me to intrude on your office hours, your final office hours in your remarkable career. And I wanted to say first a huge thank you to you, Councilmember Khamis. You have really upheld the highest standards of public service. And I can say that with conviction and absolute sincerity. And so I'm playing Oprah Winfrey, as I understand it. I'm going to be asking Councilmember Khamis a few questions. This is my opportunity to grill him after 8 years of serving with him. And then we're going to go to each of you, and we'd love to hear your questions and observations. But before I get into questions, I do want to just say a couple words about Councilmember Khamis. We've been working together for 8 years. And I can tell you, we don't agree on every issue, and we've always been, I think, respectful in our disagreements. But I can say with conviction that Councilmember Khamis cares more about this city. There's nobody in this council and nobody in the city cares more about the city. I'll say that. And I can say clearly as well that, it is often the case that folks come into city council with their own agendas. And they've got an ideological predisposition one way or another. I routinely heard from Councilmember Khamis what I was hearing from his residents. And I knew that he was really in tune and listening carefully. And I think that is a unique trait because sadly, that's not true for all of politics, as we know, and elected leaders. And for Councilmember Khamis, it was always the touchstone. I'm talking about you as if you just died or something, but I will say for 8 years, it has been his touchstone that he is going to people and listening and really hearing what they care about and willing to say what might be unpopular on a city council where there may be folks leaning one direction, but what really needs to be said. And we need people who are courageous enough to say it because it's what an awful lot of people, and maybe even the majority of people, are thinking. And that is incredibly valuable in this democracy, particularly in this age when it's so easy for particular groups to do a lot of shouting and everybody else to feel outshouted. And I just wanted to say thank you to Councilmember Khamis for his courage, for his candor, and for his passion about the highest ideals of public service. That is listening to constituents that we serve and clearly conveying their voices and their interests to the folks who are making the decisions in power. And so anyway, I'll stop praising him now because now I have a chance to grill him. So Councilmember Khamis, we're going to ask a few questions, I understand, and then we're going to go to the audience and hear from our community. So first, I just want to ask you a kind of high-level question. Can you convey a couple really fond memories? What do you think you're going to miss most about your service here for 8 years?
Well, Mayor, I'm not going to miss the 13-hour meetings, and let me 13 to 15 hours sometimes. But I certainly love serving the community, being that voice that, as you said, and I honestly thank you for the high praise. I really, it was an honor and to serve our community, and I could tell you that there is another person on this call here that has devoted his life to public service from your career as a prosecutor and to now as mayor. I can't say that I'm the only one who feels this way about our city. But it's just, I'm gonna miss being that voice, I feel that voice, I hope, is not going to be missing from the conversation. All too often, I think a lot of people come to the meetings and they try to drown out other opinions, and I hope that doesn't happen. Everything, there's definitely disagreements, and a lot of us are not. How should I say? A lot of us are. They think this way, but they're not. They're not opening their mouths to say so. So that's something that I think. I'm going to miss being that person, although it made me nervous every time to open my mouth and do something different than the rest of the council. It's gut wrenching, and but that's a feeling that that you're doing something, and it's and that's what that I think that feeling is what I'm going to miss.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've often heard that courage is defined not by the lack of fear, but stepping into the fear.
Yeah.
And there were many, I remember very many tense moments where you were willing to step in. And I think a lot of folks were willing to say, well, let's just go with the conventional wisdom. And I think it was really a testament to your service. So, you work really hard, I know, for the community on a lot of issues. And like all of us, we don't get everything, we want. There are projects we all want to get done that we didn't quite get done, but you got a lot done. What do you think are some of your proudest accomplishments?
Well, I've done a lot, like you said, but one of the proudest things that I've done is preserved a small parcel next to the Almaden Lake from being developed and turning that to an extension of the lake, and then also creating a walking path all around the lake that everybody uses every day now, just to get their exercise in and just take advantage of the beautiful surroundings that we already have. I've been super proud of the work that we've done at the Hoffman Viamonte area, for example, helping some of the less advantaged community. We made that neighborhood more cohesive, safer, more in touch with government, and that's one of my proudest accomplishments: getting people in touch with their government and making that community safer. And then, when I first came in, the costs for remodels were, like twice the cost that they are today. And so I've had a hand in that and streamlining that small remodeling desk. There's a lot more things, but those are the things that stand out when I think of some of the stuff that I worked on and achieved. That small project desk was one of them.
That's on home permits, is that right?
Yes,
Permits
on home remodels. And yeah.
No, I remember that was the first battle 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I first came in, I took a look at what kind of permits we get, and it looked like home permits were by far the most, and then we were not looking at streamlining that. And I thought, well, we're missing the big picture here. And so that's what I focused on when I first came into office, and so happy we got it across the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was projects like that reminded me you were really focused on what you were hearing from your community. It wasn't about some agenda. There's a lot of people really frustrated at City Hall. It's taken too long and it's costing too much.
Yep.
That absolutely was a great step. So there were also projects that, of course, we don't get everything done in 4 or 8 years. I can certainly say that in my own case. There's something that you're going to be handing off, and you got a great successor in Matt Mahan. And I'm glad that the people in District 10 and Blossom Valley and Almaden are going to have another excellent representative, although there's frankly a loss with you stepping down for the entire city. But there are projects that I'm sure you'd love to see him carry on. What are some of the things you'd like to see us get over the goal line in the next couple of years?
Well, Mayor, thank you. No, you're right. There's a lot of projects that I did finish, but there's a lot that are unfinished. We have a bicycle trail along the Los Alamitos Guadalupe River that I had been working on for many years, and we got funding from the VTA Measure B, and we got the design done, and it's a 5-mile stretch that would connect South San Jose with North San Jose downtown, what have you, along the river. And I hope that gets done, at least in my lifetime. I know that we have to deal with water district along this trail. And so that's been the major kind of obstacle, and the Army Corps of Engineers. That's why I couldn't get it across the finish line. So that would have been something key. I think it would really get people on their bicycles, commuting to downtown without getting on Highway 87. That's another one that I didn't finish. A lot of the improvements on Highway 87, The Almaden, we have the Almaden winery building that's in a little bit disarray, but it's been cleaned up. I hope that it gets fixed, and so that we don't lose this kind of history that the Almaden Valley used to be a big winery area. And quite frankly, I don't think my work is done on pushing for Laura's Law and implementing, to be implemented at the county level. I know this is not a city council thing, but I've been working on making sure that people who are homeless, drug addicted, and mentally ill get off the streets. I don't think my work is done on that, and I don't plan to stop advocating for people to get help, the help they need from the county.
Yeah, it's an issue in which we really agree that there needs to be a clear path to getting folks who have very serious mental health issues. And we know often it's the result of extended use of methamphetamine, to be able to get them off the street into a dignified treatment facility, even though we know they're not going to be willing to go. And I know that's a battle you've been fighting for a while. You mentioned the county. How do you think, I know we've talked about your future plans, so let's talk about your future plans. I'll just say it. I know you're very seriously eyeing a run at the county level. What are the things that you think you want to focus on? Certainly, you just mentioned one.
Yeah, I think that a lot more can be done on housing. I know that they passed a $1 billion measure for building housing for low income, very low income. That I want to make sure that we actually build the housing and not just tax people. I want to see results out of that measure be bond. I want to see a lot more care with people's money. I feel like we don't hear what's going on with Valley Med, for example. I think that the money just keeps being spent and nobody's watching it. And that's what I also hope to be, somebody who looks out for the public dollars, because it seems like nobody understands what the county does. I'm sure we now understand that they do healthcare decrees. They impose healthcare and wellness laws on us, but nobody knows that they take care of the expressways, for example. I've been working on having the county pave Almaden Expressway, and they're just starting to do it now. So it took a few years for me to convince them to do so. And so those are the things that I hope to accomplish. Make that organization more transparent and accountable to people, and that's. And that goes from everything for how we treat the mentally ill, that we don't just pick them up and then spit them back out without really treating them, to the jail system, where they're releasing a whole mess of dangerous prisoners back onto the streets so that they could do more damage to our city. Those are the things that I'm passionate about, Mayor. And even if I don't get elected for public office, I'll continue advocating for more reforms in those areas.
Yeah. And you mentioned housing, by the way, and, one very important project you've been working on is finally coming to culmination. And, we'll be before the council next week on an effort to expand opportunities for moderate income housing without a big city subsidy, actually just relying on property tax exemption, which is a very modest amount of money considering what could be created. You want to talk a little bit about that effort you've been working on? And looks like we're finally getting some traction. Staff's going to get something over the goal line next year.
Yeah, well, that's my hope. Over the last 5 years or so, we've been talking about creating opportunities for people who serve our community, our nurses, our teachers, our bus drivers, to have the working class folks who really can't afford to live in the area, the opportunity to live in the area with creating workforce housing. And this is an opportunity where another organization sells bonds to the public, to investors, takes that money for the bonds and buys existing, basically high, Class A buildings, and then houses people with that have jobs, like people, the working middle class, and then gives them the opportunity to live here. And when those bonds are paid off, the city gets the property for free. And I feel, and then there's no, there's actually no, there's no way that the city gets penalized if the bonds don't get paid back. It's very low risk and high reward. And I hope that it goes through on the 15th.
Yeah, I agree. And I know we're working on that together. So I know that we've got folks in the community who certainly have questions, I'm sure. Why don't we start to take those questions now? And Danelle, oh, I'm sorry. Is it?
Emma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Emma. We have Emel and Danelle and Michelle.
Yeah,
So-
right. Okay. So we appreciate whatever moderating, conveying you might do. And also,
yeah, and we also have Adrian on the line. Adrian, I'm not sure if you are going to show your face, but we have a few people that have raised their hands, so we're gonna allow them to speak. And also we have some folks via Facebook Live. So first we'll go with Hugo, who's joining us here live via Zoom. So Hugo, go ahead.
welcome, Hugo.
Hi, Councilmember Khamis. I'm a new resident to District 10, very close to Almaden Lake Park. I'm still getting to know the area, but thank you for any efforts you've made to maintain and beautify the surrounding park, because it's really been great for my family's physical and mental health during the pandemic. But since I'm new to the area and I intend to stay here for a while, could you please share like a summary of some of the issues surrounding Almaden Lake? I know you mentioned that there were plans to build homes in the area, and I'm wondering what other issues should I be looking forward to, or should I be paying attention to in the next 10, 20 years? Thank you.
Well, that's a great question, Hugo, and you came. It's a beautiful area that you've landed on, and a little known secret that some of those are affordable, condominiums out there. Possibly some of the most beautiful areas to live in as well. There's a lot more work that we're doing. There's going to be a trail connecting the new extension of the park that's currently being built right now. There's a Almaden Gardens all-inclusive playground that I've been working on, and the work has just started. We got $1.3 million in grant money and money from my office to start the project, and we hope to actually change that project and turn it into a bigger playground for all ages and all abilities. And this is the current project that you're seeing online. And if we get enough money, we want to expand it down to the water line and create some slides. That'll take some more money, another $3 million to do. I hope that happens. As far as the construction, there's new housing that's being proposed in the VTA parking lot on Blossom Hill Road and Blossom Avenue at the VTA light rail station. That's one of the most underutilized parking lots in the city. There's about almost 300 homes that are supposed to be sprouting up there. That'll be the largest and tallest building in my district when it's built. The final approvals have not been done yet on that project, and so more to come on that. But I did also approve I did approve this 2 years ago, it just hasn't gotten built, a 47 unit mixed use, so senior and foster youth who are out of getting services, the foster youth. So it'll be a mixed use between seniors, families, and foster youth that are very low income. That'll be in the behind Whole Foods, so that one is going to be a fairly large and tall project. Those are going to be the tallest buildings in the area. But that's pretty much all the development that I foresee in the near future. There's been talk about expanding Oak Ridge Mall, but that's distant talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Hugo, for the question. And Councilman Khamis, you mentioned an all-inclusive playground. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what that means?
So, all-inclusive means people of various abilities, whether you need a wheelchair or whether you need something else, if you have any minor disability, you'll be able to use the swings or to use the zip lines for if we get enough money, that is, for the zip lines. It's just a great opportunity for senior citizens to play with their grandchildren, all on the same field. It's something similar to what the Rotary Play Garden did downtown San Jose. It's a great, if you guys go down there and see it, this is exactly what we want to mimic right here in Almaden, and I think it would be a great asset to the community. Thank you for the question, Mayor.
Yeah, and I should say this is really important project because we've seen what Rotary Play Garden has done. Children of differing abilities being able to play together is so important, and we know so many children are left out. And this is a great way to bring more children in to be able to enjoy what's great about our city and be able to play with other kids. Dick Silva, I see you got your hand up. Welcome, Dick. Dick, you appear still to have your, there you go.
Yes. Excuse me, I am not in Johnny's district. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for honoring Johnny the way you are. I like the way both of you guys try to make things visible to people. And I have had the opportunity to go down and talk to Johnny a number of times. Not being in his district doesn't make any difference. He still listens. Some of the things that I liked was the goats in the Oak Park. I thought that was terrific. My background is I've been in the Valley for a long time. I'm one of the ones that the grandkids put their eyes up. It's, oh, grandpa talking again. But Johnny really has helped our city. One of the things that I would like to do is see the trails go all the way to Gilroy. And Mr. Mayor, I think you can help on that. You need a lot of help from a lot of different people. And the second thing that I would like to see is the citizens, especially the young people, giving a little responsibility. And what I have been focusing on is to try and make available to the young people to be assistants at crossing guards. I've lived in this valley for 43, and I would like to see some of those traditions kept. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Dick. Thanks for this. Councilor Khamis, you want to respond?
Yeah, Dick, it's great to hear your voice, and I haven't seen you for a long time in person. I hope you're in good health and you and your family. Those goats were a smash hit. I've never heard better responses out of the community when we decided to use the goats to maintain the weeds at the Guadalupe Oak Grove Park. We did one treatment of goats and one treatment of sheep, and believe it or not, I learned so much about the differences and why use goats for this and why use sheep for that. I've learned so much on the job. It's amazing from how the sewage system works to the garbage dump to I've learned a lot. So thank you, Dick, for always being there. He was a regular at my the coffee shop. So thank you, Dick.
In representing District 10, you have to become an expert in zoology. It's not just the sheep and the goats, it's the wild pigs. You got it all down there. I also want to just add, Dick, appreciate your passion about trails connecting to Gilroy. Appreciate Councilmember Khamis' strong support for our efforts to preserve Coyote Valley. That's going to really create that opportunity, and we're going to be beginning that community effort to reimagine, sort of envision what that great open space in Coyote Valley is going to become in the months ahead. And so I hope you'll participate, Dick, with the rest of the community and telling us how you'd like to be able to make that space available for passive recreation. It should be a great opportunity. I do want to read one comment on the chat, and then I'm going to let Amal take over here in terms of hearing other questions. I saw Roberta Moore had a comment. I wanted to read that in. Johnny, you came to the Hoffman Viamani neighborhood with a commitment to improve the neighborhood. Instead of throwing money at the problem, you gave your time. That's just what the neighborhood needed. The neighborhood's better than it was 10 years ago before you started. Councilor Khamis, you want to offer any rebuttal?
Well, honestly, Roberta, we did devote some time. I devoted a staff member, and we care about the community. And I think that they know that we care. The fact of the matter is they're stepping up to the plate. I hope that they keep taking charge of their own, lives, and getting people connected with government's really important out there, because there's, some turnover out there quite a bit. So it's tough to keep leadership going. I actually want to thank the mayor for funding Project Hope. Project Hope wasn't funded 2 years ago. That is something that the mayor, I asked the mayor to put in the budget, and he did. So thank you for doing that, Mayor. That program is alive and running. I wish it was running a little bit better, because there's no in-person anything anymore, but it was working very well when it was.
Before the pandemic, yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate your advocacy for that. And obviously, that's one of the very valuable programs we need to continue when we can get people back into neighborhoods the way we did before the pandemic. I want to also just read from Delvir Tandi. Please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Delvir. Hi, all. I've recently moved from the UK to San Jose. Excited to be part of the call in this group, looking to be a resourceful member, San Jose. Why don't you say a word or two about how people can get involved in District 10? And I know you've got a successor coming in who's also very interested in this. What do you suggest?
Well, I could tell you that there's so many different ways to get involved in the community. Whether you want to volunteer we have openings on commissions like the Parks Commission, Library Commission, Arts Commission. Those are always come up. So just get involved with the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter, sjd10.com. That way you'll be informed about what's happening. There's also community projects that you can take a part in. Like on January 2nd, for example, we're going to be doing a big cleanup around the Almaden Library and the community center. We're going to be pulling weeds and things like that, so you can volunteer, and we're doing it safely, COVID safe cleanup. You can help adopt a park. We've actually adopted 8 parks under my tenure, almost one per year. And so if you bring a group of people together to adopt a park, that would be great. It helps the community have a nicer park, and it helps the government, because they can do a little more on that, and basically spend the same amount of money. So those are all great ways to get involved in the community. So thank you for your question, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Absolutely. Ugo Mesa had a follow-up specifically about Almaden Lake neighborhood. Is there a neighborhood or a community organization the community members can join? And I know you've been instrumental in getting with a lot of community members pushing the 4th of July celebration, for example. That's a very strong group. You might want to tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, get involved with the District 10 Leadership Coalition. There used to be a very active homeowners association, depending on which condominiums that you live in. I would talk to the homeowners association. Actually, they led an effort to keep the lake from becoming paved over. They did a great job doing that. Get involved with that group, although it hasn't been as vocal and participatory as they used to be. But the District 10 Leadership Coalition is always looking for people who want to help and in the communities. And again, if you sign up for the SJD10 community newsletter, or just send your email to district10@sanjoseca.gov, they'll get in touch with you and let you know how. I mean, Matt's going to have a lot of opportunities when he takes office.
Yeah. And you've got a great team, by the way, Amal, Danelle, Sheen Patrick, a lot of hardworking folks. I'm sure they're going to continue to get the word out, perhaps with maybe a Facebook post about how people can connect. I just saw one in the chat box said to learn more about District 10 Leadership Coalition, visit www.sjd10leadership.org. That's sjd10leadership.org. Okay. Now, Amal, forgive me, I've been hogging all the questions. You might have some off of Facebook, or if not.
We have tons, but we know that you're also limited for time. So I don't know.
Why don't we go to your questions?
To keep you on for a little while.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. Well, a lot of it is tons of comments, Johnny, if you want to take a look.
Nice things.
Go ahead with the questions. Yeah.
Questions. So how soon will parking enforcement come back to the Hoffman neighborhood? There's a note to that. Parking enforcement is one of the best ways to keep a neighborhood safe for its residents. That's from Roberta Moore.
Yeah, well, I had asked the Department of Transportation to start doing enforcement, and they said maybe in January. And I'm hoping that Matt will. I've actually asked Matt to keep in touch with the Department of Transportation on this issue, and I think it may restart in January.
Yeah, I heard more definitively that and very recently that they are going to be restoring the citywide. So I think you're right, Johnny, and this is coming very quickly. As many know, we just had great challenges with repurposing a lot of roles within the city, and city employees are working hard doing one thing, and the libraries suddenly got shifted and are distributing food to 2.5 million. Actually, 2.5 million meals a week is what they're doing right now. So there's just a lot of folks doing different things now under the pandemic. We're pulling people back now into their regular jobs, and hopefully you're going to see that on the street.
Okay, wonderful. There's also a question from Rudy on Facebook about possibility of making a dog park at Almaden Lake.
That's not in the cards, to my knowledge. Definitely there's a dog park pretty close at the Martin Fontana Park area. So there's one pretty close to the Almaden Lake. There are discussions of other dog parks being created more in the northern part of the district, but even those discussions are kind of on the back burner. It takes a lot to have a dog park. There's no noise issues if it's too close to the other neighbors. There's all kinds of consent that has to be done, and I have not been successful in finding a space that people will say, okay, yeah, put that dog park in my backyard. And so it's a little more difficult of a task, and there's nothing planned at Almaden Lake for a dog park.
Okay, there's been a lot of questions and comments about the play garden, a nature area at the Almaden Lake. So there's a few questions about how to get more involved, how can they learn more about the project, and how can they support the project? So that's a great question.
Excellent. Why don't you put up a link, Amal, and so you can contribute online. I think that we can throw a link up there for a contribution. You can talk to my office and get involved in the fundraising group. And you could take this, you could actually take the link and spread it to your friends, because the number one thing we need to make this park go from good to fantastic is money. And like I said, when we actually have 1.3 million, we need to get it to 5 million to have the full build out of better bathrooms, things like that. So we would definitely love everyone's help to help spread the word. Talk to your homeowners associations, talk to see if we can contribute money. We have the senior citizens who have stepped up and become supporting members. All the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, all those organizations are all working on this. The Lions Club, the Almaden Women's Association, they're all involved, and you can join any one of those groups. They're all working on this project.
And maybe if I could just offer, one of the challenges that Councilmember Khamis has in terms of being able to find park money is, for the most part, we really depend enormously on construction and development to fund park capital build out, whether it's buying land or building, the project that the Councilmember Khamis just referred to. And for the most part, District 10 is pretty built out, and people don't want a bunch of high rises in their neighborhoods, and that's just the way the world is. And so a lot of that development tends to be in downtown and some of the areas around central San Jose, which means the dollars don't get there because under state law, there's actually a radius restriction on where we can use dollars when a development is underway, about where we can use those dollars for parks. And so that means that some of the council members like Councilmember Khamis in District 10 or Councilmember Foley in District 9 just have to be a lot more creative in trying to find dollars in different ways. And certainly we're going to try to do more citywide to help, but we appreciate the community stepping up.
Thank you. And if your corporation or your business, a lot of this at the end of the year, if your corporation wants to make donations or matching donations, we welcome those.
So we have Chris Roth on. He has a question. Chris, do you want to ask your question live?
Sure. Hi, Councilmember.
Chris.
Thank you for all your years of service. And I had a question for you today, which was, have you received a commitment from Councilmember-elect Mahan that he will continue the annual fireworks show at Almaden Lake once it is safe again to hold it?
Indeed, he has. Yeah, he didn't just, he got hammered on that issue. Like there's every time he knocked on a door, and I think he'll admit that they asked about, will you continue the work on the fireworks display? Yes, he has made that commitment, and unfortunately, it depends on when COVID lets up. It was sad. We actually had started fundraising for the 4th of July event last year, and then we had to stop all efforts to do so. Thank you for the question, Chris, and thank you for always being involved in the community as well.
Yeah, Chris, great to hear from you. Yeah, and thank you for raising that, by the way, because I know that obviously that was, I don't mean in any way minimize the extraordinary amount of heavy lifting that was done by the community to make that event happen, because I know there's a lot of volunteers and a lot of donations. But Councilmember Khamis was fighting every year to get money from the city, and he was successful in getting that funding in order to make that happen. And so I know it couldn't have happened without him. And I think that was another great accomplishment, really an event that brought lots of people together, and it was wonderful to see. We'll hopefully be able to do it. We certainly hope this year, if we can just get these vaccines out and get people healthy.
Thank you both. Yes.
I think Councilmember Foley just joined us. Anna, yeah, she just texted me. Do you want to let her in? Say hello?
Sure. Let's see. She may be on us.
I know you're on a time.
I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'm
okay. There.
Councilmember Foley, if you can hear us, this is your chance to take your last shot here. Your colleague.
I just got unmuted, Mayor, so that's awesome. I just wanted to jump in and say hello and wish Councilmember Khamis well in his next adventure, and say that I've truly enjoyed working with him as a council member in the last couple of years. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I know that you have represented District 10 extremely well. So I just wanted to come in, say hello, and offer you my support and my encouragement in your next thing.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much. It's been an honor, and you still have one more shot to take at me on Tuesday. So, and by the way,
very aware, Johnny.
We're going to be cooking together on Thursday, so I'm really looking forward to our cooking show. So
yeah, I'm still not sure what my obligation is, but I'll be there to be your sous chef or whatever I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a taster. So
a taster. Virtually. Okay.
Yes.
I've heard rumors that Councilmember Khamis' skills are more attuned to the barbecue than to the kitchen, but we'll find out. All right. Thanks.
I see a lot of cooking competition, so I'll be sure to say wonderful things about it.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you soon, Pam.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Other questions, Amal? Before you do, can I just read one comment that's particularly nice from former Assembly member Jim Canine, that I think a person everybody knows in the community in Almaden. He just said something really wonderful. He said, I love living and raising my family in District 10 for 23 years and continue to live here in San Jose. The Almaden Valley is so special, more so for my family, as my grandmother was born there from a family of Cornish tin miners that settled there. Congratulations on your honorable public service. You served with high integrity and independence. He's, of course, referring to Councilmember Khamis. And he says he had to sign off, but he wanted to thank you for his service.
I'm sure.
All right.
I'm sure he meant it for both of us, Mayor, even though you're not leaving office yet.
Well,
okay, so there's a couple of questions about the Pat Dando dedication. I know there's been a lot of rescheduling because of COVID, but would you like to provide a quick update?
I'd like to, but I don't have the dates exactly, but I think we're doing something next weekend is what I believe, the 19th.
Yeah, December 19th.
Yeah, 19th. We're going to put up information about our next story. It's going to be a virtual, unveiling, if you will.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of great speakers. Now, Pat Dando, if some of you don't recall, was one of my predecessors. So we had Nancy before me, and then before Nancy was Pat Dando. She served our community with again, honor, integrity. She passed away, and she left a brilliant legacy, things of work that she's done that I have tried to continue. Even something like creating a community room at Hoffman Viamonte, which I think after I'm out of office, it will actually be built. So a lot of her legacy still carries on at Chris Hotz Park. The Almaden Community Center is actually built because of a measure that she helped support. And so, yeah, there's a lot to thank former Vice Mayor Pat Dando, and that'll be happening on the 19th. Do you remember what time, Amal?
We'll be sure to post it. I don't have it right now in front of me because they keep rescheduling things.
Yeah,
but
everything got mixed up because of COVID, and I know that the mayor is going to be at the virtual event as well.
We'll put it definitely in the newsletter that comes out this week, and then we'll be sure to check back on Councilmember Khamis's Facebook page, and we'll definitely put a flyer up. Oh, thanks, Scott. Scott from District 9 is saying it's on his calendar for 2 p.m. on Saturday, the 19th. So 2 p.m. next Saturday.
Timely chat. Yes, thank you for that, Scott.
Okay, we have a question from Lena on Facebook. She would love to learn more, hear highlights on what the city is doing to support San Jose residents during the pandemic. I know that could be a whole entire.
Yeah, I'll let the mayor lead that one because he's actually been so committed to helping people, creating a fund. Actually, he's been fundraising to help for a long time, and maybe the mayor could start.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll try to give the 60-second version, but I think I'd urge everyone, if you need to get help, or if you need to give help, or if you'd like to give help, I should say, the place to do so is SiliconValleyStrong.org. We have tried to make it easy for everyone to be able to understand both how they can get help if they need, whether it's access to free food, whether it is housing and they need to isolate because they have somebody in their family who's COVID positive, whatever it might be, please go to SiliconValleyStrong.org. We have really shifted as an organization to try to better serve our community in this really difficult time. It means a lot of things that we're not doing. I mean, I think a lot of folks noticed pretty clearly over the summer, we had not been doing a lot of trash cleanup. That is changing dramatically now. But the things that we are doing, or we have been doing all this time, include, for example, trying to ensure that we can better support the needs of those who critically need food. A lot of families obviously lacking work right now, lacking income. So with our partners at Second Harvest Food Bank, a lot of nonprofits, we're coordinating the distribution of about 2.5 million meals a week. We know that a lot of children are not able to learn at home because they don't have access to connectivity or they don't have devices. And so really appreciate Councilmember Khamis's strong support for this. We've invested more than $10 million, a lot of federal money mostly, to go into an effort to get over this digital divide, to get thousands of students hooked up. We have now been successful, partly with a partnership at Eastside Union High School District and partly through efforts of our libraries and distributing hotspots. We've now got more than 100,000 people who are able to get online free with Wi-Fi that were previously unable to. And in partnership with the Eastside, we're going to continue to expand that to 300,000 over the next 2 years. So a lot of work being done there. Obviously, we're trying to do everything we can to save struggling small businesses with this alfresco effort, which obviously was much more relevant before the most recent shutdown orders, but trying to help businesses get outdoors onto sidewalks, into parking lots, into parks and so forth. Obviously, that's shut down for now for a lot of restaurants, for example, although retail can still take advantage of that to the extent the weather permits. I think you're going to see all that get revived again in a couple of weeks as soon as we can get past this really difficult surge in the pandemic and get a different set of health orders in place. And obviously, we've been distributing grants and so forth through that effort. Councilor Khamis mentioned fundraising. We've raised more than $20 million through the Silicon Valley Strong Fund that are being distributed in small grants to help families just be able to stay housed pay for basic necessities. We're going to continue to fundraise for that. We'd love to have your support. Again, SiliconValleyStrong.org. A lot of support comes from the corporate sector for that. So that's just a quick overview. There's a lot more that we're all doing together. Councilor Khamis, I know, has been pushing hard. And so I'll stop so I don't hog up the show.
No worries, Mayor. The fact of the matter is you are on it. You've been on it for a long time, and really appreciate all your efforts. In my capacity, I've actually helped put together a group to deal with the unemployment issues, and I've been asking corporations to hire people. We've been working with Work to Future and religious organizations to bring people to the table to see if they can hire everybody, you know, from house cleaners to high-tech employees. And, you know, there's actually funds available for people to train employees, and the Work to Future will pay corporations to pay for the employee for the first 2 months while they get trained, and hopefully you keep them after those 2 months. So there's lots of programs out there if corporations want to take a risk and hire people. There's a lot of people that have been laid off, and quite frankly, I think it doesn't matter how much, and no offense to the mayor, how much money we can fundraise, unless people get back to work and have dignity in their work, we're never going to solve the poverty pandemic. It doesn't, you know, so helping people get back to work, I think, is the fastest, most dignified way to get people housed and off of the needs, you know, of others. So.
You know, as you were talking, Councilor Khamis, I was trying to find the URL for the poverty pandemic effort that you've been working on with Healing Grove. Appreciate your leadership on that. But I know the Healing Grove Center has information about that, the United Against the Poverty Pandemic. It's really about helping folks get back to work, doing what they're doing. And a lot of folks would love to be able to work if folks are willing to stretch a little.
Okay, that was a great question.
We have a question from Bob Ornstein. From the community, it seems your office is bombarded with requests for greater SJPD presence, minor crimes, speeding, racing, etc. Can you speak to how you see the responsiveness, transparency, and Matt's challenge working the relationship with SJPD?
Well, I don't know if that meant that question was for the mayor or myself, but I could tell you that this mayor has helped turn the tide on the losses of police officers to the city of San Jose. We've actually, our force has been slowly rebuilding back to the levels. Actually, when I first came into, we're probably at the same levels where I first came into office. And I know that traffic enforcement is really needed in San Jose. So many, we've actually passed so many different laws. You know, myself and the mayor and Maya Esparza put forward a law against sideshows, the viewers, not just the people conducting the sideshows. And so, but enforcement is really what it's all about. And in order to enforce, we have to have more police officers. And I don't know what the budget is going to be like next year, but it was tough to even keep the amount of officers budgeted this year. I don't know if the mayor has a preview of the budget next year, if he wants to tip his hand on what we're doing with our police force. But
yeah, I appreciate what you say, Councilor Khamis. You know, during the time Councilor Khamis has been in office, you know, we saw the Great Recession, the impacts of the battles over pension reform, everything else. We lost nearly 600 officers. Since that time, we've added more than 300 net. We've actually added quite a bit more than that, but of course you have retirements and so forth. So the good news is under this police chief, we've really been rebuilding this department, but we are hitting a wall here with the budget. And I think we're just gonna be doing everything we can to hang on to the officers we got. I feel confident we're gonna be able to do that for this year. But again, we just don't know what may come next. I think a lot of us expect there may be a deepening of the recession before it gets better. And that's what we're all watching very, very carefully. I will say though, too, you know, it's been a rough year in lots of ways. And there were really strong calls from many people in the community. And that's what we're all watching very, what they call defunding the police. And I just want to say thank you to Councilor Khamis for being clear and courageous again in that moment. You know, and we both stood together with several other colleagues and Councilmember Foley and others and said, look, our residents overwhelmingly are calling for more police, not fewer. And this is not an appropriate way to deliver public safety to our community. We can't be defunding. And that's different, by the way, than what they did in San Francisco or Oakland or LA or lots of other cities. They went ahead and slashed the spending on police departments. I can't help but think, you know, a couple years from now, we're going to look back and really feel we did the right thing.
Me too, Mayor. And thankfully, I think before the chief left, and to publicly thank the chief for his service, I think his last day was like yesterday. He actually put more traffic safety patrol officers this year than he had the year before. I think we went from 5 to 12. I know 12 is a drop in the bucket to cover the 270 square miles of this city, but it is a doubling of the effort. So I hope to see more traffic enforcement, and that's something that you can keep Councilmember Mahan apprised of your thinking. Something that I used to do is have a monthly meeting with the captain. In fact, me and the captain used to have coffee together at Starbucks every first Wednesday. And I hope that Matt continues that, and people from the public came by and said hi to our captain and expressed, you know, their concerns about their areas. So there's all kinds of things that you can do, but keeping in touch with your leaders is the best way to get the services that you need.
Amal?
Yes, okay. Councilmember Foley, did you want to ask a question to Councilmember Khamis?
Sure, softball question, Councilmember Khamis. What are you most proud of in your 8 years as a city council member?
Yeah, well, I did cover that a little bit, but you know, honestly, I've been very proud of the work that we've done around the Almaden Lake, around permitting, streamlining permitting. I think was for small projects. There's something, you know, something very, you know, I've actually helped with this mayor to make it harder to borrow money without having the pros and cons. I helped to write the law that requires a pro and con analysis before we go to borrow money against, say, to build a golf course. And so that's something that I've been proud of. It's kind of wonky, but I think it's a good way to look at things. And I've been very proud to demand pros and cons on any big projects that we've done, from community choice energy to other things. So and I know that this is not a, you know, kind of a sexy thing that most people think about, but that I hope will help the city in the future.
Yeah, those little things make such a big impact as you think about the transparency and, you know, how we might have looked at decisions to buy golf courses or hotels in the past if we had just a little bit more transparency. And I really appreciate that effort. Can I throw out another question? I think we all know in this business, spouses are so important. And you have a spouse who's also uniquely committed to public service in her daily work. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Juliana and what how she supported you over the last 8 years?
Well, I could tell you that you cannot, as you know, Mayor, you can't do it without with your support system there. Honestly, she has been a godsend. She's taken care of the kids. You know, ever since I got elected, she's the one who goes to music recitals and soccer matches and all the things that, you know, kids do when they grow up. I wasn't there. She was there to take care of everything. And quite frankly, she's devoted to her own students. She's a school teacher, and she teaches at Liberty, where she deals with the most difficult cases of students who are about to drop out of high school. And I love the fact that her biggest happiness is to make sure that these kids graduate, and it brings such joy to her life. I'm happy to support her in her efforts too. But you can't do this job without support I also would be remiss to not thank my entire staff, because also without them, we get numerous calls and emails. And quite frankly, I don't have time to answer everything. And so without, Shane Patrick Connolly, my chief of staff, Michelle Dexter, who helped me with all the things going on, Amal, Danelle, Enrique, and all the folks who've helped District 10 over the years. It's Jose Salcedo is a godsend as well. All these folks make a District 10 office function, and they make me look good, quite frankly. So the support system is always needed. This, as you have your own support system that's doing great things, Mayor. But the support is always needed, and I thank all of them for the dedication to our community.
Yeah, well said. Well said. So I know we reached the hour. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We've reached 11 o'clock. The council member hasn't even made his dates yet for today.
So here's my time to butt out so you can get on with the presentation.
But we're so happy that you were able to stay with us this long, and we can keep going. I mean, we're getting tons of questions, and we're getting a lot of comments. I don't know if you need to hop off.
I actually do. I need to get onto a call with the county, unfortunately.
No, we know. We're so happy that you're able to stay this long with us. So if there's anything closing you want to say, and then for everyone else that's staying, we're going to continue on since it is the council member's last office hours. We're going to actually read the updates for his final office hours, but we'll have some closing remarks from the mayor, but please don't sign off. And if you're on Facebook Live, please feel free to stay on. We're going to continue. But go ahead, Mayor. And
well, I think for those of you who were on at the beginning heard me profusely praise Councilor Khamis for his leadership and his hard work and his service and his commitment to the community. But I also just wanted to say thank you, Johnny, for being a great friend for 8 years. It's been a lot of fun working with you, and I expect and hope our friendship will continue.
Oh, absolutely, Mayor. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Take care, you guys.
All right.
thank you, Mayor. Okay, so we have some questions. We still have some more questions. We can answer them offline, or we can continue.
Let's take a couple, and then we'll do I'll just give you an update.
Okay.
Just because I need to get something to drink.
Okay, so we have a question from Hugo stating that there was some funds left over in another district in D4. There was outstanding district funds, and they're going to go to the city's general fund. Are there any outstanding funds in D10? If so, is the plan to send those unused funds to the city's general fund, or allow Matt Mahan to use as he wishes?
Well, this is very technical, and I think I'm going to bore people on how these fund transfers work. Now, the funds that are left over from District 4, they actually will be voted on Tuesday, so they have not gone to the general fund. And I actually tried to put a program together where we would actually wrote a memo to see if you have more than $100,000, give the rest to the general fund. It didn't pass, but what happens is whatever's remaining in the fund goes to the next council member after the deadline, which is December 31st. So plus, as of August, the account is split in half. So the current council member, if there's going to be a change, the current council member cannot spend the entire fund. They only have the right to spend half the budget of the office. So this office budget is basically meant to help the community, to hire staff, to do park cleanups, to do the things that I've been doing over the years. And so, there wasn't a ton of money left over. I don't know exactly how much money is going to be left over, but I know that we're not leaving Councilmember Mahan with a deficit. That's for sure.
Okay, I think for your updates, Adrian is saying that you've covered most of them and throughout the hour.
Okay.
Adrian, do you feel like there's anything missing, or should we just go through the updates real quick anyway?
I mean,
Why
yeah,
don't-
we can go quickly through them, yeah, and just kind of.
Why don't we just go
miss
through
everything.
them for the sake of the last office hours updates? Unless Shane, I see you're on. Is there anything you wanted to add to the council members' last answer?
Let's see, did we already talk about the initiative that's on the agenda for Tuesday that we worked with the mayor's office on?
Yes, we did that at the
Okay.
beginning, but I'll re-mention it and how they can get on. So the Cal CHA, the bond program for buying workforce housing, that'll be on the agenda. And if you can visit the city clerk's website, it'll be, the council meeting will actually start at 11 o'clock a.m. And it's not just the mayor who's on board. Councilmember Pam Foley's on board. Councilmember Lund Yip is on board. I'm hoping that we'll get 6 votes to move the parameters for creating programs that will allow for workforce housing to be purchased instead of being the efforts that it takes to have it built. You can send your comments to district10@sanjoseca.gov. We would welcome them. We need all the support we can get. I don't know if this is going to actually pass, so we would welcome your support on those.
So do you want to just go ahead and run through the office, the updates that you were going to give today?
Okay, absolutely. All right. Let's see what the updates. Go back to that. So we just talked about Cal CHA, and we also have a couple of commission openings that if you want to apply, although I don't know if they're still open, Councilmember Matt Mahan will make those decisions. The redistricting commission, I think is open, and also the Parks Commission for our city. So if you can get online and apply for those, that way we can ask you to serve our community. And just to let you know, something else I've been working on for a long time is the city's data policy. It's something that I insisted on many, many years ago, and it finally passed last week. There's actually a lot of things happening that have been coming to fruition in the last few weeks, besides the walking path around the new wow. The new, maybe we should meet some others. There's a community garden that we're going to be doing a virtual ribbon cutting for, and this is the only community garden in District 10. It's in the Marshall Cottle Park. We already discussed the poverty pandemic. We already discussed the playground, and let's see, our last webinar is going to be on Thursday, December 17th at 6:30 p.m. And I'll be putting on my chef's hat, and we're going to be demonstrating with Councilmember Pam Foley, and hopefully she'll be cooking in her house, and I will be cooking in mine, but we'll be sharing a recipe and seeing if for tabbouleh. This is a Middle Eastern salad that I am pretty good at making. And I hope that you enjoy it. I think the last time I made something, it was the most clicked on and viewed a video that we've ever done. So that was for the baba ganoush, and this one is going to be tabbouleh, and I hope that you'll all join us for that on Thursday, December 17th at 6:30. And like I said, I've been doing these office hours for 8 years now, a couple times a month. It's been a real honor serving our community. I have nothing but respect for people who serve our community, like my Pam Foley and my successor. I wish him all the luck. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, a big thank you to my staff who've been there for me all these years, working for our community and serving all of you. Have a great day.